Welcome to the Shelf Life Podcast. I'm Pam Denholm, Executive Director of the South Shore Food Bank. Today we are recording from the cafeteria of Blue Cross Blue Shield in Hingham with Jeff Bellows, Vice President of Corporate Citizenship and Public Affairs. In this episode, we explore Blue Cross Blue Shield's unique not-for-profit model and their direct accountability to the community. We also dive into the 5 pillars of food justice, discuss groundbreaking innovations like the .rx prescription program, and why good corporate citizenship is critical to solving systemic hunger in Massachusetts. Hi, welcome to the Shelf Life Podcast. My name is Pam Denholm. I'm the Executive Director for South Shore Food Bank. And today we are sitting with Jeff Bellows, Vice President of Corporate Citizenship and Public Affairs. Welcome, Jeff.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, great. I've been so looking forward to this because every time we meet, we have such fun together.
Yes.
And it's, I just enjoy all of our interactions. So this conversation is one I've been looking forward to.
Thank you. Me too. And I feel like we get to do lots of really cool, fun things that are out of the ordinary like this. So I'm really excited to be here too.
Yeah, great. So we are in the cafeteria.
That's right.
For Blue Cross Blue Shield.
That's right.
Here in Hingham. And I love that we're doing this here because it immediately brought me back to the meal kits, which is kind of where our relationship really started to gain a lot of traction. Do you remember that?
I do remember that during COVID.
Yes.
We did not close down our buildings because we had a lot of essential workers who had to be here, but not the full extent of what we usually have here. So we didn't want to have to lay off any of the cafeteria workers as well. And we knew there was such a need growing in the community around food insecurity and hunger. And so we were able to keep all of our cafeteria employees employed, and they made 1,000 meals a day that we donated to, nonprofit organizations that focused on food insecurity. So that was wonderful. So 5,000 meals per week. And you were one of our partners.
We were, because the Blue Cross Blue Shield van would arrive at one of our distributions. And then we'd pull all these, they weren't really meals, they were meal kits. So what I love about that is it was like family dinner in a bag.
Yes, yeah.
And in a way that was super accessible, but a little celebratory, something different. So anyone struggling with food access who came to us that day would get this brown bag with a recipe attached and all the ingredients inside. And it was pizza night or all themed.
Yeah. We did that. So we did that program as well. We offered that to our employees as well. Some of our employees who might be, having some issues with, financial issues or whatever hardships. And so we offered those kits to our employees as well as to our nonprofit partners. So it was really quite a cool thing. And we got great response from it too. And also what I heard was they actually fed more than just one night. Like there was enough that there was leftovers a lot of times, so you could eat it again the following day.
Oh, leftovers are the best part.
I love leftovers. Yeah, I do.
Speaking of family dinner, what does family dinner look like in your house?
Well, chaotic a lot. So because our kids have been so involved in so many other things, sports and other school activities. So oftentimes it's very chaotic and we're kind of running in and doing it quickly and running out. We have an island in the kitchen, and so we oftentimes eat at the island, which I actually really love because I feel like it's still very, it's homey and we're still together.
Yeah.
It might be a quicker version, but it's just just that time together is really special. When we do have more time, we do have more of a sit down type dinner, and that's always fun. And that's usually when the grandparents are visiting or something like that, or if it's a special occasion. Or when we have more time.
And who cooks in your household? Do you cook?
So I do like to cook, but it kind of stresses me out a little bit. But my wife loves cooking. And to her, it's de-stressing.
Right.
So she is all about the cooking and I'm all about the cleanup.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of a partnership.
You were going to say she's all about the cooking and I'm all about the eating.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. Yes, she's a very good cook too. So that works out really well. And so, but I'm like, do you use every pot and pan and dish in the process of cooking so that I have to clean everything? Yeah.
Yes, of course she does.
Yes, of course. Right.
What I loved about the meal kits was how accessible they were and how they kind of encourage people to come together and, enjoy something together. Can you tell me, do you have any other family traditions that are important to you that center around food in that way?
Well, I think food always has been for my family an opportunity to bring people together. I think one thing that really stands out to me around like a tradition that the family does is Thanksgiving. I know that sounds probably very cliche, but we've created a new tradition in our family where we actually have friends that own a restaurant, but the restaurant is closed on Thanksgiving. So many years ago, they said, we're going to be having our family over, but we're going to go to the restaurant instead of our house. Would you like to join? Would your family like to join us? And so we started doing that with like 3 families, and then it's kind of grown. So now more families are there, and then everyone brings sides that are traditional to their families. And it's just such a wonderful celebratory time to be with family and friends.
That
That's
sounds really cozy and a
it is
nice
really
way to just
cozy.
connect and hang out and have great
Yeah.
conversation.
Yes, and we play games, and the kids just all run around and play. They're participating in the conversations more, and what brings us together is the food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And it's nice when the kids get to that age too, that the way they're engaging family members changes.
Yes, and they like to be involved in the preparation of the food. And my wife has this great, um, it's like a sweet potato casserole kind of thing. I think it's almost like dessert because on top of it are marshmallows that
Hmm.
melt on the top, and it just makes it so tasty. And one time my daughter made it first time and put it in the oven, and they forgot it was in the oven. And the marshmallows, you don't do the marshmallows to the end, but anyway, they were on fire in the oven. So we had to start over, but so it's a learning process too.
Yeah, we do a different something different too for Thanksgiving. We do what we call in Afrikaans, because I'm South African, a bloody lekker dankie-dag, which is a very delicious thank you day.
Yep.
And we just invite anybody, and you just bring whatever food is, something that you've always done in your home,
Yeah.
and we all share different meals, different cultural things, whatever. I love it.
That sounds great. What's like a traditional Afrikaan dish?
We don't do Thanksgiving, of course, but we will cook things like bobotie, which is a meat-based dish with eggs in it. We have things like sausage rolls or meat pies. We have fun desserts, custard tarts, all kinds of things. Cook sisters, which is fried dough soaked in syrup. What's not
Oh,
enough
wow.
about
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
Nothing healthy about
Yeah.
that.
I think the meat and egg thing sounds really good too.
Yeah, it is. It's delicious.
Very nice.
So you've worked with us for over 7 years now,
Mm.
and your team has, I was looking at it the other day. I mean, you've been incorporated in some way or another into every facet of what we do in the warehouse, at the distributions, in our food pantry garden,
Yes.
in all of those things. Has there been a moment where something in any one of those experiences has shifted your perspective around food access in a meaningful way?
I've done stuff at the warehouse for sure many times. But I've been to the garden. I've been to the kitchen in the church.
Yeah.
But I think the one that really um, resonated the most, or really had it was most impactful, was during COVID um, when people were gathering in different ways, and you had set it up at the church parking lot, and people could come in and pick up their bags of. They were already prepared in bags, and they just would pick them up, and we'd bring them to the cars. And I just remember that experience was so overwhelming because I couldn't believe the need and the people that were, in the line to get the food. It really hit home for me, like how big this issue really is. And that's not something. It's sad. It's sad to me, but at the same time, it was hopeful because the community was really coming together, and your organization was really serving such an important need in the community, particularly during the pandemic. But that didn't go away when the pandemic was
No.
over. So
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It hasn't gone away. We are looking at our numbers. We just closed out 2025.
oh yeah, yeah,
And during COVID, Weymouth Food Pantry distributed 685,000 pounds of food, and that was the most we'd ever done, by double.
Yeah.
We looked back on that year. We looked back on that year at that time and thought, I don't even know how we did it.
Yeah, right.
Well, Weymouth Food Pantry in 2025 did over 1 million pounds of food.
It's crazy.
And I think people don't realize that.
Yeah.
That, there was a lot of attention on food access during COVID, but the problem has not gone away.
No.
And it has steadily grown
Yeah.
over the last 4 or 5 years.
Exactly. And the pandemic definitely exacerbated the issue, but to your point, it hasn't come back down, hasn't gone back down.
Yeah.
It's just increased. Yeah. Affordability is such an issue anyway, overall, and particularly in Massachusetts, but and I'm sure that impacts what you're seeing for the need.
Yeah. So, I mean, from that experience,
Yeah.
how do you respond to people who believe that this is a charity issue or an individual or household issue and not a systemic issue?
Yeah. Well, that I think is a big problem. It's like, and this is we believe food is a human right, and this is one of the significant social drivers of health is access to food, healthy food, and so we look at it through that lens. Like everyone should have access to healthy food, and so we try to make that possible as much as we can. It's also a factor in health outcomes, having access to healthy food. We know that you don't even have to look at studies. It's just common sense or common logic that if you have access to healthier foods, your health outcomes are going to be much more positive.
And when you go about your day, when you're not at work,
Yeah.
you're in your community, what do you think is a common misconception about who experiences food insecurity in Massachusetts?
Yeah, that it's a visible, that you can tell who might be experiencing food insecurity versus who's not. And I live in Hingham here where we are now. I live in this town, and Hingham is known more as like a wealthier community. But with my children, we have volunteered for the food bank in Hingham. I know you work with the food bank and the great team there, the volunteer team there. And the need is there too. And it's humbling when you think about that. And people are going to get food at the Hingham Food Pantry every week, and so it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere, and you don't know, who might be food insecure and who's not.
Right. We're all one paycheck away, or one catastrophe, or one calamity, or one health issue away from being in that position.
Yeah, a lot more people than just the people who are being served already. And I know you know all the statistics, but thinking like a third of the people in the state are food insecure. That's overwhelming to think about. But to your point, that is just who's actually currently accessing services. We know, as you said, that there are people who are just, like one paycheck away, or who even knows, maybe even closer to that tipping point. And that's really it's very sad, particularly in the richest country in the world, where we know there's enough food produced to actually solve the problem.
Yes.
It's just, how do we get it to the people that need it?
So to your point, Jeff, not only is it people who are maybe one paycheck away or closer, when we look at who comes to the food pantry, we have seniors who are on a fixed income.
Yes.
We have college students who struggle with tuition fees. We have many, many working families.
Yeah.
Many families who are working sometimes multiple jobs, who are struggling to do all the things, pay for housing and put food on the table, pay for healthcare.
Yes. Yeah. And that is a one point that really resonated with me, particularly when I was working with you all, volunteering during COVID, and the cars were coming through, and clearly people have they have cars, they have means, but they were suffering enough that they felt that they had to come get in a line to get food because they needed it that much for their family. That was very eye-opening as well. We created a token program with some of our partner food farmers markets across the state where they'll get additional dollars that build on top of their SNAP benefits. But also, there's some things that aren't covered in SNAP that are sold at the farmers market that are also very helpful for around health.
And what I really love about that program and why I feel so passionate about it is because, first of all, it's the dignity piece,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yes.
taking your family on an outing to a farmer's market, you're buying food that just resonates and just feels so everyday.
Yes.
But it's also the connection of community. It's going out and being part of what's happening. It's walking from vendor to vendor. It's having conversations with food producers in your area and people who live in your area who are making things and growing food. And that connection, I think, around community and access is invaluable.
Oh, right. 100%. And there's such a mental health benefit from that. We know that isolation is a thing, and that we know that it was really exacerbated with the pandemic. And providing people and families opportunities to be together is really important, to have that communal impact. There was this one woman, I thought it was the cutest thing. An older woman, and she lived in the senior project that was a senior housing project that was close by. And she said that she uses her token to buy a bottle of wine because they have a wine.
Oh,
She says it helps with her mental health.
oh,
Isn't that great? I thought that was really good.
yeah,
Right?
of course.
Yeah, anyway,
I
it's
like a
cute.
glass of wine. It helps with my
Exactly. It
mental
helps
health
with my
too.
mental health too. Exactly. I totally
I
related to
didn't
her.
realize you could get wine at a farmer's market.
So yeah, this one has yeah.
I
It's
love
really,
that.
yeah, isn't that cute? Yeah.
Very cute.
Yeah.
One of the things that I don't think that many people really think about or know is that Blue Cross Blue Shield is a payer model. You don't have shareholders.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what that means or what that looks like or how it impacts the organization?
Sure. Yeah. So, we are one of 33 Blue Cross companies around the country. So
There are 33 Blue Cross companies that make up the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association, and they all have different business models. Our model here in Massachusetts, which is similar in a few other states, is that we are state-based, so we're a Massachusetts-based organization, and we're a not-for-profit business. So it's a very different model. And so we do not have stakeholders. We're not a publicly traded company. There are some Blue Cross or companies that are. We are not. And so we always think, and our CEO has said, that our stakeholders are the community members. So the community is who we report to. Like that's who, when we don't give, we don't have publicly traded stocks that we give dividends to our stockholders, but we instead give back to the community. That's our model. And we are a highly regulated state, and we're a highly regulated industry. And so we report back on an annual basis to the Attorney General all the things that we're doing in the community that helps us maintain that nonprofit status. So it is a very different model, and it allows us to do different things. And it really allows us as a company to operate to try to get the best care for our members at the best price.
Right.
Not always an easy thing to do, particularly in a state like Massachusetts, which is very expensive to live in.
Right.
And very expensive to operate. And we have the best healthcare system in the country. So that means it costs the most. So trying to keep the costs down is tough, but that's something that we also are responsible for doing.
Well, I love the accountability of that. Like you're accountable to the communities. You're accountable to, do more than just generate. You want the organization to be successful,
Right.
but your commitment really is overall to the community, and that's who you're accountable to.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And I love that. So we spoke about the Justice Advisory Group,
Yes.
of which I feel unbelievably honored to be a part of. Thank you for
We're so
inviting
honored
me.
to have you as a member, an active member too. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So I get so much out of connecting with other nonprofit leaders, and you've made it so accessible and really grounded in conversation and in exchange of ideas that I've really benefited from that experience. So can you tell us how your team came up with the idea and how you think about that Justice Advisory Group and what you all get out of it?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we're very proud of that group, and we rely on the group for lots of different things. And one is that every time we're able to bring community partners together for whatever reason, even if it's just a celebratory event or reception or whatever, the one thing that we hear is that they like being together, like having an opportunity to be together in a relaxed setting where they're not feeling that they need to be competitive with each other, like competing for funding or competing for support, that they can just come together, relaxed, and talk. We hear that. So we're like, okay, how can we make that? Is there a way we can make that a permanent thing or some kind of, well,
give it some structure, maybe.
Yeah, give it some structure, exactly, and just make it like a program or something. And then the other aspect is, since I've been here at Blue Cross, which has now been 16 years, I can't even believe, I've said to my team, we always have to make sure our work is community informed. We're not coming in on a white horse saying, this is what you need to do. We have all the answers, because we do not have any. We are only as informed as our partners. We are only as successful at achieving any goal if our partners are achieving their goal, because that's what the bottom line is. It's just, we want to make sure that the South Shore Food Bank, Weymouth Food Pantry are achieving their goals, and to us, that's success. So we need to know what's keeping you up at night. What are the things that you're struggling with? And that was a big impetus for us to create this group and to advise us and how we can be better partners. So corporate citizenship is really the way a company brings its values to life in the community. That's how I would define it. And at Blue Cross, being engaged in the community has always been a part of the company since its inception. Being able to lead that effort is really an honor. And I wake up a lot of times and think, I can't believe I get to do this for a job. It's so amazing. The things that we get to do, the partners that we get to work with.
And so 2025 was your 6th year of being an honorary for the Civic 50, the Points of Light Civic 50
Yes, thank
award.
you. Yes.
And you're leaders in the healthcare sector for this award. So what does this award mean to you as a healthcare sector leader?
Well, it means a lot to us to be even to be on the list. It means a lot. I mean, think about how many thousands and thousands of companies are in the United States, and to be
this is a national
it's
award.
A national award, yeah. And to be recognized as one of the 50 most civically minded is really big for us, and we were really so honored to be in that category. A couple years ago, we were selected as the healthcare sector leader, and we didn't even know that would be possible. It wasn't something we applied for. It was just based out of the folks that they consider as part of their Civic 50. What are the things that these particular companies are doing? Because they have them for each of the industry sectors. So to be the most civic minded in healthcare was really quite an honor. I will say we took it from United Health, which they're a huge company. We're not as large here, just Blue Cross in Massachusetts. So anyway, it was quite an honor.
Punching above your weight.
Yeah, punching above our weight. But I think that the reason is, I think it's the way that we structure our work. That we approach it in a strategic manner. And even the Health Justice Advisory Group is another thing that most companies don't have, that kind of engagement with their nonprofit community. So that was that's kind of a best in class thing that we now are showing teaching others how to do, and what they might think about if they want to do something like that. I also think it's the spirit of our employees. The fact that our company has over 80% participation, 80 to 90% in any given year, when we have about 4,500 employees and we have 80 to 90% participating in volunteer service, is quite amazing.
Yeah.
And particularly when the average is 20.
Wow.
So, that also distinguishes us.
How has corporate citizenship evolved over the last 10 years?
In general, or here at Blue Cross?
But here at Blue Cross.
Here at Blue Cross, okay.
And then in general.
Okay. In general, I think it's become a much more strategic function at a company.
Right.
Really a lot more strategic. And it's always been something that the CEO has been involved with at any company, but it's become much more business critical, I think. One is that, one of the most important things at a company is to attract and retain top talent. Everyone's trying to get the top talent because if you have the smartest people working for you, your business is just going to continue to grow. And so one of the best ways to recruit and retain people is offer programs where they can engage in the community. We know that people, they're asking for that, particularly young people, but it's not limited to young people. People across the board are looking for that. They want to be able to give back to the communities where they live and work. The other thing is our customers are wondering. When customers are thinking about what companies do they want to work with, they want to work with companies that are giving back to the community, acting responsibly. And we know that there's just facts that show when a company is operating responsibly, their outcomes are better. They actually are financially doing better. And so companies want to partner with those types of companies. And we're more in the business to business world because businesses hire us to, for their healthcare. So that combination of what do our employees want, what do our customers want, really elevate what this team does, because the things that we are able to work on are the things that are what help us attract and retain top talent, and help us showcase to our customers or potential customers why we are a company that they might want to partner with as well.
Can you help us connect the dots between where you think the narrative around hunger still needs to shift most urgently?
Well, I think that it's really a systemic issue, the food system. We have to think about that. When we think about our efforts in the community that's focused on food, we think about it as food justice, and we have several different components of how we would define that food justice. We think about food security, which is ensuring that all members have access to healthy foods. We think about the food system transformation, how we can work to make the system more efficient, and it's like reimagining production, processing, distribution, that kind of thing. We think about community participation, giving all community members a voice in shaping what that system looks like. We think of environmental sustainability and how we can do this in a very sustainable manner that is, impacts the environment positively instead of negatively. And then we think about people, your engagement, my engagement, and how we can get other people engaged in helping to make it happen. So kind of a multi-level.
This is a philosophy you live, I think, even here, right? You have a beautiful food pantry garden on site.
Yes, we do. Yes.
And employees can come and participate in the growing and share the harvest.
Yes, we have a garden here in Hingham. We had a garden in our Quincy building, but we sold that recently. So, but we have all employees that absolutely join us every season, and it's been going on for, I think, 12 years now. So it's pretty extensive, and it's very well known and loved in the company. And we do many things with it. So we have volunteers that participate in the growing of all different types of produce. And then we do farmers markets here internally during the harvest season. Every week we'll have tables set up, and we actually give the food away to our employees. And then we also partner with organizations like you guys to donate the produce. So that you can use it for, people who are, showing up at your door that are food insecure, that want to have healthy options.
I love this idea of shared responsibility and accountability to each other. Like if we all do that small thing to make food access, to make food more accessible.
Yes.
We move the needle, right?
Exactly.
Collaboratively and together.
Yes, exactly.
And how does food insecurity show up in the healthcare system in ways that the public might not realize?
Well, it is absolutely one of the social drivers of health. And so when we think about our work in the community, the foundation of all of that work is really focused on those social drivers. So how can we do the same thing for people who are not our members, who might not have access to those things? But we run a program in Dorchester called .rx, which is a prescription program for healthy living. And it's really for folks who maybe have like 2 or 3 jobs, and they don't have the same kind of access or time to go to the gym or to get, where to buy healthy food, or even have transportation to get to a place that. So we work with the clinicians at that community health center to get to help them have access to these types of things: food, exercise, green space, things that we know will impact them in a healthy way. So trying to think about it, what works for our members in them achieving healthier outcomes. How can we offer those types of things for people who maybe are not Blue Cross Blue Shield members and don't have that same kind of access?
Right. So I love the innovation of that prescription X, the other peripheral things that are key to good health. Are there any other innovations or things that you're working on right now that you're really excited about that could help move the needle?
Yeah, there. Well, one of the and that's a really good example, because what originally when we worked, we really partnered with the community to actually create the program. So it wasn't just like Blue Cross coming and saying, "Hey, this is what you need to do." We did focus groups, really worked closely with that particular community to see what they needed and what would be successful. So it was kind of a collaboration of organizations coming together to make that come to life. But it's changed. So the model that started back about 8 years ago when we created the program is very different now. And the way that people are accessing food is changing. And so we are now providing them with like a debit card system where they can use that instead of like saying, here's food, giving them food specifically. They get a debit card that focuses, that they can only buy healthy products with. But so when they can go to things that are convenient for them, but still have that same access to healthier foods. I think that the bus is such a great example. The mobile market, that's a huge thing. And I know there's a few other organizations that do it, but you've introduced it now on the South Shore, and I'm sure you're a lot of learnings there. But that is the kind of innovation that we like to be involved with.
Yeah, our food pantry bus is out and it's doing its thing. And what I'm really enjoying right now is the feedback from people who are getting on the bus and shopping. That we can contain so much soup to nuts like a grocery store, prioritize healthy options, and give people a supermarket experience. And opportunity to choose things that they need for their families and to fill their cupboards. It's really great. And we can meet people right where they are.
Right where they are. I know. I love that. And that's one of the bigger challenges for some people is just the transportation, getting to those markets that maybe have access. Of course, the cost as well is really a big deal. But that bus is so wonderful, or that mobile market, excuse me. I think that the better way to describe it, because it will no longer a bus. But the fact that it has the refrigeration and, and it's so beautiful, and it's like a respectful, wonderful little market that comes into, or can be in any community. And that when we did our event this past holiday season, the Stuff the Bus event, it was so wonderful to be able to bring in like milk and eggs and butter and things that people, well, one, they're probably more expensive for folks, but you can't always bring those to food pantries because they don't have the capacity to store it a lot of times. So it's so wonderful that not only do you have that capacity at the food bank itself, but now you have it in a mobile capacity and can bring that to different communities all over wherever you want to go.
Yeah, keeping the food safe in transit is a big barrier for a lot of food pantries. Absolutely. So that bus certainly solves that problem.
Yeah.
To look at it through a systems lens, because we want to empower people to get out of those situations, but we also need to build the systems that make that possible.
Yes.
I think Blue Cross Blue Shield does a good job of taking those learnings and then having conversations, with government partners or, other leaders to try and think these things through and hopefully influence change, move the needle.
Yes. We worked with Project Bread and a number of other organizations. Probably you were involved with this, I'm sure, but around getting free food for all students in Massachusetts public schools. The dignity issue of some people get free food, some people don't. The confusion and that just giving it to everyone. Plus, in a lot of school systems, a significant percentage were able to get free food anyway. So, just making it available for everyone was really important and would make the program even more successful. But that needed a lot of legislative change. It needed support at a lot of different levels, policy levels. And so we were really involved in helping to make that happen. So that's like an example in the food category. We've done a lot of that in the environmental capacity, different things that bills and different things were happening in Massachusetts and federally, but a lot in Massachusetts. We've been a part of that. We've testified at City Hall. We've testified up at and Beacon Hill on some of these things. When I say we, people from Blue Cross about certain things to help move it along. We've signed on to letters. We've worked with policy organizations in the food and environment and different categories to kind of move the needle on some of these things. Because to your point, if you can make systemic change, that's where it becomes really powerful. Or we can change the most lives or impact the most lives.
We talk about that as a systemic change that's been made, that we've improved access for kids for school meals. But what we've learned through our backpack program is how that translates is that when children are fed and fed well, they do better. Their concentration improves, their level of activity improves, their ability to have better peer-to-peer relationships improve. And so it really becomes such a great leveler for students to do well at school.
100%.
And
that's right.
Such a simple thing.
Right.
It's simple, but not simple.
Right. Simple, but not simple. But if we can get that passed, so like that's passed, so they get breakfast and lunch at school, that's better than not having that access, right? So then we can focus on dinner and weekends, or what, there's, we can try to think about, because there's still going to be gaps, and how can we, but at least that will alleviate some of the work that organizations like yours will be doing, and you can then focus it somewhere else, because we know the need doesn't end at the end of school day.
It does not. So, I mean, here's another example too of the way that I feel working alongside you, we've made a systemic change, and that it really isn't about the food security infrastructure. You guys made an investment with us 4 years ago to help us expand our warehouse,
right?
And to expand our reach, but not in a way that increases food access for individuals directly, but works with communities around the South Shore to put in systems or just really increase their access to food, particularly fresh food.
Yes.
And so, 4 years on, we've had a tremendous impact in communities and how communities access food thanks to that investment.
Right. Yeah, that was a great partnership. And that was a wonderful, innovative idea that you brought to us, that we were like, oh, of course we want to be a part of that, because we knew the ripple effect of what that would cause all across the South Shore and even further, and I know that you partner so significantly with the Greater Boston Food Bank. And one of their challenges is having everyone go into their center to pick up the food too. And you helped alleviate some of their pain.
Right.
So it was like
and now
it was systemic. It was had impact across the system.
Now we're doing it on the South Shore, but Salem Food Pantry up on the North Shore is expanding to do the same thing. Yeah. And there's a new cross-dock in Wareham. So it has had this ripple or roll-on effect of, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is working.
Yeah. The idea came out, and we were luckily able to make it happen on the South Shore, and it became a model that others now can look at and replicate. It's
Correct.
Really cool. And it helps the bigger system through the Boston Food Bank and them trying to help get the food out of their warehouses, too. So that's a great example.
Well, the bus is so great too. So I imagine a fleet of them. I imagine buses going everywhere in Massachusetts, meeting people exactly where they are and sharing, as much fresh produce and fresh healthy food as we can.
I love it. And we work with the Blue Cross Blue Shield system, and that's, 33 companies all across the country that come together, and we have a community partnership, a community investment and partnership work group. So it's folks like me, my team, that come together monthly. We meet monthly, and they have one in-person meeting, a 2-day meeting every year. And learning from each other is important. And oftentimes what we learn a lot of people are learning from what we do because we might be a little ahead of others, but we're not always, and we learn just as much from other folks too. So it's just being humble, having a humble approach about it, because as good as you think your things might be, there's always something you can learn that's going to make your work and your efforts better.
I feel that way. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Weymouth Food Pantry is an award-winning
Yes,
organization.
100%.
I'm very proud of the work we do at South Shore Food Bank, but whenever I go and visit food pantries all around the area, I'm always learning
Yes.
something on, how they approach something, how they think about something, even whether it's a simple thing or a very big, complicated thing.
Exactly.
So the exchange of ideas, I think, is foundational to being a class leader.
Yes, I agree. And there's always someone, like no matter how good you think you're doing, there's always someone who's doing it better. Like that's how I think about it. So I really appreciate that. And I agree. And even if they're not doing it better, there's still things you're going to learn from what they're doing that can help make your programs or initiatives better too. So that's kind of how we approach it too. My team for sure is always really humble about it. But at the same time, they're also really proud of after we have these conversations or get back from these conferences or whatever, to think about like, wow, what we do is really, it's pretty good, pretty cool. Yeah.
It is. Looking forward,
Yes.
how do you think things are going to shift in terms of corporate citizenship and this shared accountability over the next decade? When we think about things that are coming down the pike, or how our world is changing with AI, or the different ways, we're being nudged in one way or another.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to impact corporate citizenship and our shared accountability?
Yeah. Well, I hope positively. Like, I think that there are opportunities, for example, with AI, that could be very positive for both the nonprofit sector and for the corporate sector. So we need to figure out what those are. And we actually are having meetings to do just that. We actually had a session earlier this week where my team came together with our IT team that's building out our AI. As you can imagine at Blue Cross, because so much of our data is protected, that we have to have our own AI systems. So it's a more complicated process. It's not, we can't just have Chat GPT. We can't have that here. It can't connect to our system because all the cybersecurity issues you can imagine that could happen. So we're in the process of working with our IT team to build out systems and processes that might help us benefit or be even more impactful in our work. So I think there's opportunities for sure for AI. And once we start to know more about what we can do with AI, we can also empower our partners to hopefully do more with
I was just going
AI.
to say, pay it forward and share some of the...
Absolutely.
Well, that makes me excited.
Right? There's certain things we already know, can help us write things.
Check. Blue Cross Blue Shield has got it. They're going to...
Well, we're working on it. But I think that's a hopeful thing. And I think that our company and so many companies around the country, around the world, are really embracing this. And how do we... And it doesn't mean replacing people necessarily with the AI, because I think new opportunities are going to come, or jobs are going to change, I think in positive ways, where the things that could be time consuming and not as efficient could get better because we would have new processes that would make it much more efficient. But then we can focus on new things and exciting things and innovative things that might move all of us forward.
Yeah, I think organizations that center what it is to be human in their integration with AI. So, take AI and allow it to do the drudgery tasks, the things that, just can weigh us down.
Yeah.
And then leverage your workforces to be more human and to think about some of the challenges the organization or the goals the organization has in a very human-centric way.
Yes.
That is what I'm excited about.
Yeah. Oh, I think that I love that. I think that is a great way to look at it. And I think that's how we're looking at it too. I mean, you think about what our purpose is, to help people live healthy lives, right? So it is human-centric already. So how can we use the tool of AI to help in that process? So that's exactly right.
All right. So we are going to bring the conversation back a little to you.
Okay.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned through the community partners that you've worked alongside over the past few years that you carry with you in this role?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think that it's about, it's really like walking in someone else's shoes. I think it's empathy. I think empathy is probably the answer. We work with these organizations that are doing amazing things to help people with all these different issues, social issues. And as I said, we try to think about the social drivers. So we kind of think about, food issues, environmental issues, like, which could be about housing. It could be about all different things, access to green space and racial inequities and what the setbacks that have happened because humans didn't treat other humans well, and so I think that empathy and trying to understand why people are in the situations that they're in and how we can empower them to get out of those situations or to improve their situations. That's what I think I've learned the most from our community partners over the years.
And then to bring that back to a systems, to look at it through a systems lens, because we want to empower people to get out of those situations, but we also need to build the systems that make that possible.
Yes.
And so, I think Blue Cross Blue Shield does a good job of taking those learnings and then having conversations, with government partners or, other leaders to try and think these things through and hopefully influence change,
Yes.
move the needle.
Yes.
So I want to ask, what is one question you wish people would ask more regularly about hunger and health equity?
When I think about hunger in particular, and we all know this, and I think you ask anybody, we know we have food, we have enough food. We grow enough food that no one should be hungry, and we still have access. I mean, excess, not access, excess. So why is that the situation? Why can't we figure out a way to get the food that's produced to the people that need it?
Right.
Why? That would be the question I'd want to ask. Like,
Yeah.
what's the
More people should care about this issue
more people
because
should
it's
care.
solvable.
It's solvable, right? It's solvable, and yet we can't. And there's a lot of smart people like you and others working on this every day. And I'm not saying you need to come up with the answer, but I'm just saying, like, it can happen. And I know it can happen. Where's the block? Where is it?
The blueprint.
Yeah, where's the blueprint? And where's the blockade? Where's the wall of making it not happen? And what's the blueprint to make it happen?
If you could invite listeners to take one small action that contributes to a more food secure community, what would that be?
It would be to engage. I think that there's so many people that know that this issue exists for sure, but they don't do anything. And they might talk about it, and they might know it, and they think it's terrible and all that kind of stuff, but they're not doing anything. I know you and I do stuff every day. We're trying all the time. It's my job. It's your job. We do this job because we care and we want to make change and we want to make an impact. I think that more people need to step up and to care and to engage.
Right. And I think it's such a multifaceted issue. Like when I think about it, I think the solutions can come from everywhere and everyone. Wherever your passion or your agency or your thoughts or what you care about lies, whether it is, starting your own garden, starting a community garden, starting something in your neighborhood, the seed swap program, or volunteering at a food pantry, or doing a food drive, or like there's just so many, many, many ways for people to get involved, so that you take the first step.
Yes.
And take on some level of engagement in any way that's meaningful to you, I think is a great way to think about it.
Exactly. And I think that's why even think about the food system, like you just described, there's so many entry points to that to make it better. So yes, engage. Yeah.
one of the things that has really resonated or been the theme throughout our conversation is this idea of shared responsibility,
Yes.
shared accountability,
Yes.
and how that manifests. And so, what are your thoughts on how the world would be better if we all took this position of shared responsibility and accountability?
Yeah, I think that shared responsibility, accountability is such a great, important theme. And again, as we just were talking about, engagement. Like knowing it's a shared responsibility is one thing, but also engaging in the process is another. And that's where I feel like that is so helpful and hopeful.
Right.
Because when we talk about loneliness, mental health issues that people are having, which gets exacerbated with food when you're food insecure, that if people are engaged and they're playing a part and they're this idea of social cohesion is really important, and it's important on so many levels, but it really is important on a mental health level. So it could help solve a lot of problems if we can raise people's awareness, understanding of the shared responsibility, and understanding that we all play a part in being the solution and working together and engaging and doing something,
Right.
actually doing something.
And it's this, I think, idea too that we're more connected than ever, but more isolated than ever.
Yeah.
And when you think about problems facing our seniors, there's a theme of isolation there. And you think about problems facing our children, the isolation, the bullying, the feeling alone. So this idea of being active community members and participating in these kinds of solutions, bringing together and living in our shared humanity and our
Yes.
shared experiences, I think is a great one. And that's a great note for us to end on.
Yes, I like that. Thank
Yeah.
you. This is so much fun.
I really enjoyed this, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for asking
Your
me.
time is invaluable. I know how busy you are. So this was really wonderful.
Back
Thank you
at
for
you,
being
and-
so generous.
Yeah, well, I'm so honored to be part of it, and also I'm so proud of you for doing this. Kind of spreading the word, engaging people, and just raising the awareness of what this issue is and how people can get involved to help be part of the solution is awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this important conversation around health and food equity with Chef Bellows. As we've discussed today, ending hunger is a solvable systemic issue that requires empathy, shared responsibility, and active engagement from all of us. When we lean into these solutions, we create change for our entire community. The Shelf Life is a podcast by South Shore Food Bank, hosted by Pam Denholm and produced by Metacomet Studio. To learn more, to find a local pantry, or to get involved, visit southshorefoodbank.org.